me again. Good morning. Good morning. I'm not buffering. Well, here we are again on a Wednesday morning. And good morning, Karen. Good to see you online. Thank you. It's always nice to know when someone's listening to you when you are live. Oh, but I talk anyway, and then they can listen later. During the last week, I've had a number of people I've talked with. Some have been through some of the readings I've done, some of them just been conversations about how very often we're not sure why we're making the decisions we've made, or they're not really sure of what's going on with them. Like, and it's like kind of all this energy, and whose is it? Where is it? Is it mine? Is it someone else's? Is it through time? Is it anyway? I wrote a booklet called Connecting to the Light, which is really about transforming where we're stuck. One of the things I found was that there were many me's. It wasn't like one combined person consistently. And we call those splits. And how do we split? How does the soul, because when we're a child, we can split if we're beaten, we can split if we fall, and we can split if it's just overwhelming emotion and we don't know what to do. So when I say, what do you mean by a split? Here we are, this whole person. We get a lot of the whole thing about, your soul. Yes, your soul comes into you not always when you are conceived or born. Can sometimes take a while for it to congeal. That's why some babies kind of feel seem to be out of it for a bit. But the reality is, if you're alive now, that you have a soul that's inside. And as we get older, we get to learn how we respond in certain situations. So how come we respond this way when somebody else may respond another way? And that is basically based on what we've brought with us. See, as a believer in reincarnation, and not everybody believes that, I know, but it explains so much. I find it difficult why people don't actually accept it and learn more about it, because it explains the variances that you can have. And also it can explain the changes you may make when you begin to study how come you are responding certain ways at different times. So in a way, we're programmed. We're programmed by decisions that we have made in another lifetime, and maybe several lifetimes. Tendency is that we tend to recreate. They call it habits, right? We have habits. Well, we have habits through lifetimes. We have a tendency of doing the same thing. And I think there's a saying that says insanity is doing the same thing with getting the same result. So we can spend lifetime after lifetime after lifetime getting the same result, being frustrated, being angry, being unsure, because some people get angry, some people hide. So there's two different variances we can handle situations. I find it's either we're angry or we're scared. So that's one of the things that kind of comes into play. So I kind of mentioned splits early, only because we've got to understand that when we have a strong emotional input in particular, the essence of us actually falls apart. Each part of us will have a different decision, but we don't always know consciously which part is leading. And that's why sometimes you'll hear a person says, it's like you're aware of another part of you somewhere that's sort of back, maybe fearful. Because if you're not an angry outward person, they are very often have the other counterpart behind them that nobody gets to see, know, or hear. But the truth is that part is there. The key is, if you want to progress as a soul, when your time in this lifetime comes, is that you need to bond everything together and more into wholeness. So you understand yourself, you accept yourself, love yourself, all of those things. Now I looked at the page where it kind of tells us what goes on in my little booklet. So, and I highlighted the splits, because those splits, depending which one we want to use, is going to have it so you decide what you decide. Our life is made by decisions that we make, whether we're aware of it or we're not. Now, where do we get the information from the inside to make that specific decision is based on where we were in other lives, when we made decisions about certain things. Some of those decisions, if you're with kind of what they call an old soul, been around a while, have been made eons of time ago with very little understanding about growth, maybe even your spirituality. You might be in a dogmatic spiritual situation, or you could be in who knows what. And all of those things play a part. So it's like now you're in this life, and where we're quite mental in the sense of working to understand everything. For me, for eons of time, most people didn't have a strong brain power unless you were in a strong position. You just kind of went along with everything, lifetime after lifetime. And some lives were good, sometimes not so good, but you still made decisions. Those are the decisions that we work on in our lives now. This is how we work, how we operate, how we bring things together so that you're an energy. And the key is, if you become a little bit of an observer to yourself, and it's like sitting back and watching how your mind works every now and again, and your emotion as well. But we tend to watch mental more than we do emotion, because when we get emotional, we get in it and we don't always know how to handle it. But that's a different kind of a story than what I want to talk about. The other thing is to understand that there is an energy, which we call love, that's in the universe, that you can relate to and bring into yourself to transform whatever you want to transform on the inside. The inside of you, you have many different little programming, sub-programs. You can be fine in one situation, handle it beautifully. Everything is what they're saying is tickety-boo, is like it's all okay. You're in control. You know what you're doing. Everything is flowing. And then something can happen. Person can look at you the wrong way, tone of another person's voice, a word, and all of a sudden there's a different person. You may become more hesitant, not sure, what am I going to do here? And that is because we're complex beings. And so the key is often is to be able to connect all those elements so that we're running more connected. And from my perspective, is why I call the book Connecting to the Light, is that we're connected to this energy that I call the love energy. If you want to call it God, if you want to give it a name, any other name, that's fine. But know there is a power that loves you, always loves you, has no judgment, much to some religionists believe that there's all this, and this you got to do. It accepts you totally for who you are. And if you're working at transforming yourself to be the most effective being that you can be, even more so, because that's the energy that we get to release the beliefs, the attitudes, and the judgments that we're carrying from lifetime after lifetime and lifetime, and working to bring us back into wholeness. Now, so I've got down here, why do you decide what you decide, is because just what I've talked about. You've made a decision, could be centuries ago. You've never changed it on your soul level. And so when situations come up, it's like a knee-jerk reaction is that you remake that same decision and then put it into play into your present life. Our decisions are very, very important, and they need to be sort of recognized. So there comes a point when you want to say, well, that's enough for that. I want to change that. So where do you go and what do you do? My recommendation is you find a transformation therapist. But the key is not all transformation therapists are the same. What you want is someone who's very aware of the spiritual point of view. Sorry, my attention wandered because a big spider just went up my curtain. Interesting. Things are coming in because the weather's changing on the outside. Anyway, so I just find it interesting when these things show up. And just when I'm talking about, see, it took my mind off what I was really saying or what I was wanting to say. So we'll go back into effect. Is that I know we're talking about the energy and your connection to the energy and being able to transform it. One of the titles of a chapter is How to Identify a Block, or as I call it, an inner frozen child. The child could be an adult, but we call it an inner frozen child because most of them start when we're young. Excuse me a sec. The spider's way up now. I'm not particularly fond of spiders. And yet I know some people who love them. So it's all about what you really like or not. So how do you identify? Usually from a feeling more than anything, or a thought that is continual. But the thought is not productive in your life. So you have to have sort of what we call an awareness where you can sit back and watch what you're doing and thinking. Now, so that's why we have meditations. That's why we have quiet times where we just watch the thoughts run by the screen, you could say, without any judgment. Because if you're making judgments of your own thinking, that is also going to do like a double whammy. So that we don't really want that. So we want to be able to watch thinking as well as feeling. Now, if anyone who's done any work with me know, I talk about how to balance the mental and the emotion, how they need to be balanced and work together. And usually we choose one or the other until we begin to integrate. So, so this light that I talk about, this love, this energy, the majority of transformation people work with some form of that, is what does the transformation by taking whatever it is that you don't particularly want at that time, or you can see, excuse me, that it is not productive for you, and it can transform it. So you can get more in alignment to what it is that you're wanting to do. Usually, there's more than one thing, and you don't do it all at once. It is a process. You go on bit by bit, by bit, by bit. So another little topic here is communicating with yourself. Self-talk is very important. Sometimes I have been surprised when people don't even understand what I mean when I say self-talk. Self-talk is when you have that voice inside that talks to you, sometimes supportive, sometimes not, but it's your voice. It is there saying, this is how you feel about this is what you think about that. And we're not talking about the high self voice or anything else, because that's another thing. This is just you communicating with yourself. And so we need to understand that. We need to understand what we're talking to ourselves about. What are we saying in relation to the sense of who we are? What are we saying? So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to preconception. Your soul, I've got to go back a little bit further, actually. You have died in a life. And then you go to the place that your personal energy can handle. If you haven't done a lot of connecting to the source or God or whatever you want to call that, usually you're still down trying to figure things out. If you have gone higher and you know and you've worked, then it's much more you have a conscious idea of where you want to go next. What is it you need to maybe experience more? Some people call it learning. What are you here to learn? I used to hear that. What are you here to learn? I don't know. I'm just doing the best I can. So that's one of the reasons I had to learn a lot of things of how this worked, because I had to figure myself out. I didn't know who I was at all. And I had a lot of these blocks that had happened through my childhood then, which related back when I got into reincarnation stuff, past life regressions, I got to see was just a recreation of what I had before. And that's what it usually is. It's like being on a treadmill over and over and over again, doing the same old thing, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, till all of a sudden you kind of wake up and realize, oh, we can use this love force, this light, to transform so that we become whole and we begin to understand where we're going and what we're doing. So here we are. We're going to come into another life, preconception. I found in certain places when you're coming in, it's like the soul, people are making love and creating a baby. In that moment, a lot of things are available to the physicality, other elements that go on into our humanness. So the soul is attracted. Now, I've talked about before in this life, I was attracted because I knew my father before, and my mother was a nice person. And so, because I had just been killed in Berlin area in Germany in a concentration camp. So it was like I got out of there fast, for sure, and went to the other side of the world, basically. And so it's like that preconception place when you're coming in, when you're joining in with this baby that's born. Well, it's not born yet, sorry, it's just made. It may not be right away. Sometimes babies grow several months in the womb before the soul will come in. But that's where you're going to go. And then you're going to need to work with not only what the child has from the parent, but your soul. What is your journey? What is your here for? That's why astrologers look at the chart when you're first born. That's why other people look at the numbers of your name and things like that. Like I have said how I tried 3 years of astrology and still don't know hardly anything. I was more of a psychic than a mental, what I call a mental person. I find astrologers very clear in their thinking. I'm not. I intuit things all the time. Anyway, so preconception is important because you're making a choice or not. A lot of people kind of come and start therapy work over the years, and they go like, I have no idea why I'm in this body, why I'm here in this body, and they had these parents, and I don't understand. It's because they didn't look. They didn't look. And having to look and accept that you didn't pay attention, you just went along, but it gives you an opportunity to do a great deal of transforming and changing and dealing with a lot of the programs that you've been lugging around for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. I created a process that I found worked really well, and it's in the book, Connecting to the Light. I found that affirmations can be really important in helping to instill within you what you want to believe for yourself. I still use them today for myself. But mostly what I found And I was really, did a lot of this for myself and others, energy releasing. I actually made a tape and a CD and stuff like that on it. How to use your consciousness to find an energy belief that you do not want anymore, and how to let it go, how to transform it, how to release it. But whenever you release anything, you have to replace it. So if you want energy A to leave, you've got to replace it with energy B, or otherwise your system will automatically replace it. And that's what I found with a lot of processes when I was looking to find things. Some people didn't understand the energy part of it. And it's like, so you want to let's just take anger for an instance. We want to release anger. Anger and frustration are very similar when you can't get your own way or you feel like everything's against you. If you can, there's lots of ways of releasing that. I have a very simple way of letting it go from yourself. But if you do not replace that energy within your system with something, your system just recreates it. And that's why often people who have a problem with anger and frustration, and we can do the flip side of depression, sadness, etc. Same thing. You want to clear it, but you've got to replace that energy so it can't come back, because your system doesn't want to be in a void. So it will automatically replace it with what it knows. So when you undertake a spiritual journey, one of the first things is not just a whole pile of philosophy of belief, it's implementing it so it works within you, so it's real. So that when you go to bed at night, you make contact, you say the words that you know how you want to be and what you want to create. Let me just see. So we want to change the energy. We want to know we're programmed. We're this little program beings running around. And I'll come to some of the questions people are putting in the chat line in a minute. So it's important to understand that you may have set up a lot of what happens in your life before you get here. It's not the situation so much, it's how you handle it, how you respond to it, how you do it innately, just without thinking. How does all that work? So anyway, I just wanted to just say that, there's hard, don't ever feel you're stuck without a way in which transforming. We're all energy, and we want that energy to reflect the love, the knowingness of the universe that's there, so you can get answers, you can understand. And that, to me, it was the journey inside. If you don't have it straight going on inside yourself and working at that, and I spent years working on it and then working with people to help them, because then it really begins to work things. Anyway, I want you to know that if you're interested at all in the little booklet, Connecting to the Life, I can send you a PDF copy. You can go through my website. There's a little cost, not a great deal, but there is a cost on that. Help the coffers here. And I can send you a copy of it, and you can read it, and there is some shows you how to do it. So you can work with your friends if you want and make that. I want to thank you for listening to me. And now I'm going to go to the comments and the questions that have been buzzing in, because I think that's going to be as informative too. Okay, so Karen says, first of all, good morning, Norma. So good morning, Karen. Yvonne says, good morning. I say, good morning, Yvonne. Leroy says, good morning. Do you do energy work? Oh, definitely. That's what I've done for years. Whether it's past life, whether it's releasing, whether it's transformation, whatever is needed to change the essence of who you are and where you go. Yes, I do. Maggie G, good morning. She says, oh, great day. Blessings. Same to you, my dear. Same to you. Karen Bonnie again. What and how do you replace frustration? Well, you got to recognize it. You got to talk to it, find out how much, where do you store it in your body? There's lots of things. You talk to it, find out. You got to learn how to talk to yourself. That's the whole thing. And when you're a person who talks to themselves a lot, everyone thinks you're nuts. But no, if you do it effectively, it can be very, very, very transformative. So first of all, you replace the frustration by bringing in the light or the love, we'll say, and just releasing that so the love is in the place. It's not like you get rid of it. I used to get so upset with certain things I would hear or read, get rid. I'm like, what do you do? Hang on a minute. Do you like to get rid of? No, we don't want to be rid of. So the energy is the same. Transformation is the key to transform the energy. So that's the whole key, is you've got to isolate it. You've got to determine what it is. Then you can bring the light in and transform it into a new way. You can go from frustration to peace and kindness and calm. That's that question. Karen's got another one. I am a giver and a family member is a taker. Frustrating. Yeah, but a lot of that is because of acceptance. When you accept 100% that she's a taker and that you're looking after you, everything will shift and change. Same thing. We've got to identify, find out what the thinking, every program that we have, that we run, has a belief structure. And it's the belief structure that we transform. But we have to identify it. Like if you're ill, doctors go to identify what is it, what is about that, and then they give the things that you need to transform it so that it's cleared up. So if you have an irritating family member, sometimes just accepting that's what they are and then just not buying into their stuff. But usually, if you get frustrated by it, the frustration needs to be transformed into peace and harmony. Makes that a lot easier. Okay, we're going to go down here, Karen. Again, thanks so much. I needed to do. Yeah. And the good news is, with wherever you are, I can do it because Zoom works wonderfully well. Karen, again. Okay, question mark. Hi. I need to start ASAP to release the frustration and replace and transform it into peace. Yes, so we can talk on that. And then Karen says, thank you. Now, I felt a little bit all around a bit because I wanted to, anyway, my printer didn't want to work this morning and I couldn't read the little print, even with these new glasses, which are very good for reading small things. I couldn't figure out what is said, and I didn't have enough time either. I want to thank you for listening, and I want you to notice we have gone nearly half an hour, no freezing now. I have to thank my friend Marion for contributing to bringing a cleaning program into my computer. This is the second time. And for those of you that didn't notice, there's a program there called Test, because her and I were going to test the program, but I enjoyed it so much I'm leaving it up, and I forgot to go into editing and change some of the wording in there. Just defining what it is, but it's got a lot of interest. I think a lot of interesting stuff there. Some people joined in, and that was great. Okay, that's it for today. Where are we? What day is it? It's Wednesday today. I'll be back on Sunday. In the meantime, you have a great time. If you would like any transformation work, you can contact me through the website, normacowie.com. Or phone me. Some of you know my phone number, I think, which I won't put on the air, but so it was good. Karen says, Tess was good. I thought it was. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought, oh, I'm going to do this kind of thing more often, because I had done it the previous Wednesday, similar, and it was really good. I liked it. It takes a lot of me having to do whatever. Anyway, books are available. I think CDs, and I think the audios are still available too. I don't know, but we'll see. And I'll be back on Sunday. Bye now.